Welcome back to the show, the Union Street Podcast. Here with Dr. Blake Cain. The doctor is in today, folks. Thanks for being here, Blake.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a treat to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Blake's the newest doctor on the scene in Southern Illinois. And we're going to talk about arts today, but we're going to be talking about professional arts and medical arts. And our connection, Blake, through Heather, your wife, who is like my cousin. So, recently moved back to Southern Illinois. I want to hear about your new role at Rural Health in Goreville and beyond Southern Illinois, as well as, your philosophy on health and what you think you're wanting to do here, moving back to the area. Just kind of get to know you a little bit. And disclaimer, this is not medical advice. This is just a conversation between you and I, Blake, and just to hear your journey through medicine, and then how you might be serving our community too.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's dive in, okay? Yeah. So Blake, tell us a little bit about your background and your journey into medicine.
Sure, yeah. So I grew up here in Marion, born and raised, little town to the east of here, Pittsburgh. Went to school here in Marion, and for medicine, I'm not one of those guys I can say, like, since I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. It was the senior year of high school, right? Every kid, right, is looking at what I want to do with my life. And for me, somebody that year recommended I read this book called Mountains Beyond Mountains. It's by Tracy Kidder. It's about Dr. Paul Farmer, the late Dr. Paul Farmer, and how he started this organization called Partners in Health. So the cool story about him was he was a Harvard medical student, right? And during his time at Duke, before medical school, worked with Haitian migrant workers and realized there's this huge need in Haiti, especially there in the Central Plateau. One of the most underserved populations on the planet. Was others, but that one really inspired him. So during medical school, he would fly down to Haiti. He was working on the Central Plateau, working in free clinics, setting up free clinics while as a medical student, convinced the Harvard Medical School to let him do this, and then graduated and went on to be this amazing, anthropology, philanthropist, all this like stuff together, right? So he had like a dual doctorate in anthropology as well as medicine and then all this cool stuff, right? So I read this book and I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be a doctor and help people get better, right? Mm-hmm. So I started at SIU, Southern Illinois University.
Shout out to Lukey's, we're fellow
alumni. That's right. So I started, and every pre-med, right, is told basically 4 things, right? Show up, get good grades, volunteer, and do research, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is what makes you competitive as an applicant later for medical school. And so I get in, I start doing the classes, I'm showing up, right? I was able to volunteer at a clinic there in Carbondale called Hands of Hope. It's a free clinic. That was amazing. I was able to see what medicine can do, especially in underserved communities. It was a free clinic that had its own free pharmacy. And one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was we would have patients come in. They would get seen by the doctor. They would need medicines. And then one story in particular was there was a lady that was there. After the appointment, she needs some medicines. Our in-house pharmacy got her medicines for her and handed them to her. I remember her pulling out her wallet and she started shuffling through and was started to cry because she had no money. And they're like, no, this is free.
Wow.
You just go. And like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So that was great to work with them. And then the research component, right? Like I said, those 4 things we all had to do. So Dr. Yuri Fedorovich, he was a fellow friend, fellow Marion High School alum as well. He found me that first fall semester and said, hey, we have this research lab that needs another person to come in. Do you want to do it? I'm like, sure, right? Had no interest in research at the time. Like, I'm just going to tick off this box of stuff I have to do to get into medical school eventually. Sure. So I went in, I interviewed with Dr. Andrew Sharp, who was the principal investigator at that time. And he brought me into the lab, said, let's get going. So over the course of that next year, I really started to love research. We were working in neurobiology, looking at the early nervous system, doing some really cool stuff. And over the period of those next couple of years, I really got into the research. I still volunteered. I'll still do my pre-med stuff, but the research really stuck out to me. I was fascinated how you could come up with these experiments and these questions and answer those. And so I started to do this research path, right? First year, second year of undergrad, I was working as an undergraduate research assistant. My third year, I was able to kind of do almost like a whole full year of research. And then my fourth year, I was actually able to apply for a REACH grant through SIU and do my own research project in the lab.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. And go ahead, please.
No, I think there was around this time, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think I did a story. Do you remember this with the brain?
Yeah.
Can you tell that story?
Yeah, absolutely. So after I graduated, I took my MCAT for medical school.
Okay.
Scores were not competitive. So I'm like, I really like this research thing more than thinking about doing medicine. So I applied to graduate school. I took a position down at the University of Tennessee, got my master's, worked at St. Jude. That's a whole nother story.
Wow.
Amazing organization, place to work for. And then came back and I managed a lab here at SIU. And that's when I had you come in and we did the story about the neuroscience and the brain and did some really cool stuff.
Awesome. So in the lab a lot. And then, so you're in Memphis, is that right? Is that near where the university was in Tennessee?
Yeah. So University of Tennessee Health Science Center, which is their Memphis campus, which is closely connected in with St. Jude down there. So I was able to do research at St. Jude. We did some really cool stuff. And then I moved back to manage that lab here for about 2 years. And then 2 years into it, you'd done the story my first year there. I was managing that lab and, really being reflective. I was like, this is not fulfilling. This is not what I want to do. I thought about that kid in high school who read that book and said, I want to do that thing. And to this day, it's actually on my stethoscope. There's a date. It was February 18th, 2017. Heather, my wife, texted me and said, go pursue your dream. Go be a doctor.
Wow.
And then after that, off to the races.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a pivotal moment.
It was pivotal. And I engraved it on my stethoscope that I wore for the last 7 years as a reminder every day of why I want to do what I want to do. And so I retook my MCAT, I reapplied, I got in here at SIU School of Medicine. And from the very get-go of that journey, I knew I wanted to do something to help the underserved. I knew, I wanted to do primary care in some regard. And then as the years progressed, getting through medical school, going through COVID in medical school.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Seeing all the health disparities, learning about the health disparities, I realized Southern Illinois has health disparities. The lower 16 counties have significant underserved populations and significant disparities in both equity and quality of care. Which really inspired me to go into family medicine.
Wow. What a journey, Blake.
Yeah.
It's been so far. And now you're and so medical school too. So how long from that point in 2017 did it take for you to then get into the medical school, and how long was that whole process? Yeah.
So medical school, I matriculated or started in 2018, went through, graduated in 2022. And then I just got done with my 3-year family and community medicine residency there in Springfield at SIU, Springfield Family Medicine. And now I'm back. So, all said and done, college, master's, working about 13 years to get to this point. But,
amazing, man.
Yeah.
What accumulation of, your whole life so far to this point.
Right.
And there's a through line there. So it sounds like serving and helping those where the disparity is seems like a big theme from the beginning of what inspired you from back in high school to pursue this path.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. And so you spoke about a little bit, which I want to dive into more about what Southern Illinois Health looks like, how you see your role fitting there, and what you're doing now, and the decision to come back here too.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through that? Because you were in Springfield, I know, because I got to stay with you guys when I was at the Capitol building, and so the decision to come back and serve Southern Illinois, what was that thought process?
Yeah. So, when I was finishing up my residency, Heather and I both looked at, we could stay in Springfield, we can move to Southern Illinois, other options, right? And, looking at it, it's my dream, like I said, was to serve an underserved population. And talking with Heather, she and I came to the agreement that we wanted to be back in Southern Illinois, which was a tough decision, of course, right?
Right.
Heather had an established career in Springfield doing ultrasound. She's been a huge support, a rock through this whole process. So we've always made these decisions together. And so coming back here, though, was something that we both wanted, and then something that I had always dreamed of, right? To be a doctor back in my hometown or community, at least.
Yeah.
And to be able to help the people here in Southern Illinois that need it the most.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you guys did move back because, just growing up with Heather and you, basically seeing you from back in the day of playing in bands and running around and, the high school days, just kind of seeing your guys' growth to this point. It's been just a fun to be a part of. And now to see you at this point, wow. It's really just exciting. I'm really excited for you guys. I'm excited for Southern Illinois too, because we're lucky to have you guys back. Seriously.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
So you're back. So
Yep.
congrats, man.
Thanks.
On all that. So now that you're back, let's tell us, so what are you doing now that you're back in Southern Illinois? As I mentioned before, you're one of the newest doctors on the scene in Southern Illinois. So where can people find you? What kind of medicine are you practicing?
Yeah. So I'm going to be down at Rural Health Inc. in Goreville. So this is an FQHC, so it's a federally qualified health center, which means that the government has stated that, this area needs offices, doctors' offices, and federally qualified health centers get some federal funding to set up in places that need it the most. And so I'll be at Rural Health Inc. in Goreville, as well as Vienna, eventually is about 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I'll be doing full spectrum family medicine. Family medicine, we encompass everything from preventative health all the way to comprehensive health care, acute health care, from the littlest to the oldest and everything in between.
Wow. So it sounds like just a wide variety of practices you'll be doing. So tell me about that. So Goreville, Anna, and you said Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
So that's across Southern Illinois, really.
Yeah.
And those, you mentioned the southern 16 counties or 17 counties.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that and, what brought you to rural health and why is it important to serve a rural community in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was in training in Springfield, I was at an FQHC as well. It was a downtown federally qualified health center. And working in that, you see really the side of medicine that gets forgotten, that there are people who are struggling with their health concerns, but also have social economic concerns on top of that, a lot of healthcare has forgotten. And so to be able to reach those people where they're at and help them out is a huge deal. And so I like that model of the FQHC, that family home for a person or a patient to come in and have comprehensive care in one-stop shop. Okay. So like for us in Goreville, we'll have a dentist on site. We have behavioral health specialists on site. We have physicians and nurse practitioners and PAs and all this support staff right there in that building to offer people the care they need. And so it's just really cool to be able to work in a place like that. And so coming back to Southern Illinois, I knew I wanted to be in a place that could do the most good, right? And don't get me wrong, every physician provides good care and does well for their patients. But I wanted to be in a place where I could really change the quality of care in the area as well as help people get better.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, Blake, because there is such a need. Can you speak on that a little bit more? What are some of the needs that you're seeing, or because in rural, having that, maybe it's just that one-stop shop. Maybe that's a great thing because people maybe not have the ride, the transportation to go from point A to B to C to see all these many different doctors. Is that what you're seeing is a challenge for these people? And that's the benefit you're saying of where you're at now is they can get it all in a lot in one location. Is that right?
Yeah. And the nice thing about being a federally qualified health center is we are kind of the last stop. We really don't turn people away ever, right? We accept almost every single insurance, actually all the insurances.
Wow.
Medicaid, Medicare. We are cash pay as well on a sliding scale. So even individuals who don't have insurance and have a socioeconomic need, there's a sliding scale where they may pay almost nothing to get the care at the same level as anybody else paying full price. Right. And so to be able to offer that is huge for patients. And like you said, transportation needs and all kinds of other needs that would limit their access to care. We try to solve that in these smaller centers in these small towns.
That's amazing. What an amazing program it sounds like for rural America, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a game changer. These centers have been around for the last 30, 40 years, but I think you're going to see more of these popping up. Hopefully we can get more people into family medicine and primary care to help support this push. But yes, there's a huge push right now from the federal level, the state level, and the local level to get more providers into these locations.
Because I mean, I've heard it, I've experienced it myself. Insurance, not going to a certain orthopedic whatever, and not having insurance taken, right? And you're turned away, right? And that's and then some people, it takes so long to even just get there and to be turned away. Oh my gosh. So it's impossible almost for them to get the care they need and the quality of care that they need too. So I think it's amazing, Blake, that you're going to be providing all those services. How do people see you? How can a patient see Dr. Blake Cain?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is just to go online. You can Google Rural Health Inc. If you look at the phone number, it's 618-995-1002. That gets us to our Goreville office. You can call any of the offices around and they can schedule an appointment with me. I have plenty of openings, plenty of slots. So I'm willing to see anybody at this point. I want to see everybody that I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mike.
So they can call and make an appointment and get in to see me.
Amazing. So, just give them a call, sign up. You guys do walk-ins if your availability. Say somebody is, down at Ferncliff and maybe there's, they twist their leg or they, maybe there's a snake bite. I don't know, something.
Sure.
Something acute like that, like a sprained ankle, or maybe they're out in that part of the Southern Illinois. Can they come in and see you? Yeah.
So I do have same-day appointments available. Eventually, I'll be offering Saturday appointments as well. The one thing that we're doing at Rural Health, which is a little unique for the area, is also offering late hours.
Okay.
A lot of offices close at like 4 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be offering every other Tuesday extended hours to almost 7 o'clock at night to allow those who work full-time jobs to get in and see me.
Sure.
And then also I'll be doing one Saturday a month as well to get people in the door who otherwise can't because they're working during the week, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to that population, right? It's people who are working non-salary jobs or just are having a hard time throughout the week because they're waiting on their ride or caretaker to come get them, can come in on a Saturday and see me still, which is, really kind of non-traditional when it comes to the typical office hours you would see.
That's amazing.
Traditional
right?
office.
Yeah. Expanding those availability. I mean, that's huge because you're right. Somebody's working, they can't take off to go see the doctor. They maybe, it keeps them out of the office and then their health issue might grow over time. Right. And so I want to get into that a little bit more too. So some of your own health philosophy or health advice, some of your just personal philosophy, whether it's traditional medicine or not. You mentioned these hours are maybe not traditional. So maybe you could speak a little bit about that and just your overall philosophy in general for a healthy life at any age.
Yeah. So I think, the biggest thing, I always keep in the back of my head of don't let perfection get in the way of progress, right? And that can be said about health, right? I think for the longest time, medicine has had such a barrier to entry. It's hard for people to get the care they need. And sometimes they wait for that perfect scenario, meaning I have to wait till I'm X, Y, or Z before I go see a doctor, right? I'm a big proponent of preventative medicine, right? Let's prevent the thing from happening before it ever even happens. If we can get ahead of a disease or ahead of some kind of injury, whatever that is, we can not only help the person, but also keep them longer lasting in the workplace, longer ways to spend time with their family, help them out as well.
So preventing the problem before it gets too big or too out of control to maybe reel back in or correct or fix.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Blake. And I think people need to hear that because a lot of people, myself might be a little guilty of this too, but would think, oh, I don't need to see the doctor. I'm not sick. I've, blah, blah, blah. But why is it important for somebody to see the doctor, even if they're not sick or just for a check-in for these preventative measures? Why is that important?
Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of the classic saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? And so it's cliche, but it's also kind of true, right? If I can get ahead of, let's just say, high blood pressure, right? If I can catch it in its early stages when you're in your 20s and 30s, that can save so many kind of downstream effects from happening in your 60s and 70s. If we can prevent the metabolic disease or whatever it is early on, that's going to help you live a more fulfilled, healthy life later on. And so the nice thing is when people are young and healthy, we can be talking about everything and not having to worry about catching up with those diseases and curing them, so to speak. Rather, we can prevent them, right? And there's also a lot of things in preventative medicine that, people don't think about, right? You don't know what you don't know. Sometimes it's hard to remember, like, oh, I should be thinking about this thing in my 20s, not in my 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage everybody to find a good family physician or a primary care provider to be talking with you and talking with them about, what their goals are in life, what their needs are. Are there anything that they're seeing in their life, either from a health standpoint, a mental health standpoint, things that we could try to help with? I think it's important, especially to be bringing in full body wellness. So it's not just the physiology, but it's the mental health as well is a huge component of all this.
That's amazing. And I know you, since we've spoken a lot off air, but have this, that philosophy too of just being active. I know I want to touch on a running club that you have an idea for later, just promoting a healthy lifestyle, not just curing a disease, perhaps it sounds like, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, I believe in full body wellness. Yeah. I believe in wellness at the, person level as well as the community level. Right. And so as part of that, I'm trying to get some things going here in the community. The big thing I'm working on now is to get this thing called the Healthy Kids Running Series here in Marion. It was something that we were a part of in Springfield. It was for kids like from pre-K all the way up to around the high school age. Well, once a week in the fall and the spring, we hold this running series where families and kids and participants come and run. And it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, I want to dive a little bit more into that deeper in your connection to the community, but I want to stay on the health topic for now. Yeah. So you mentioned finding finding your family care physician, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I hear a lot of smart people talk about you need your team of, you need your accountant, you need your lawyer, your doctors on that small team, you know, your priest, whatever. There's a small group of people that you need to trust. Mm-hmm. And so why is it important to have somebody that that's local, that you can trust as a physician? Why is that important?
Yeah, it's a great question. I believe that medicine should be a shared decision between provider and patient, right? I think for the longest time, medicine has become this unilateral approach where doctors talk at the patient. They tell them what to do. They really don't hear where they're coming from. They don't meet them where they're at. And, I think it's important that as a physician, the way I practice is I walk beside you. I'm here as your guide through this world of medicine. I'm here to be your champion, to be your advocate, to help you get to be a better version of yourself. And I think it's important that physicians do that rather than sit across the table and tell you what to do. They walk with you through this journey. And so I think it's important to find somebody that you want to walk with, right? You wouldn't want to walk with somebody you don't trust. You wouldn't want to walk with that person who you think, thinks little of you or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So it's important that people find that person they can trust and build that long-term relationship with. We call it continuity of care in medicine. It's not just I'm seeing you once every 3 years, or I'm not just focusing on this one little part of your health. I'm here to look at the whole you. The whole picture, the whole body, and see, what I can do to help you. Get to know the family, get to know your background, your beliefs, your culture, and how we can navigate this together to get to a better version of you.
I think that's a great answer, Blake. I think, trust is built, that's kind of what you need first. That's how I look at it. I want to be able to have that trust. And then what comes, after that, if you have that established, then everything else is just kind of what it is,
right?
So I think that's great. And I think having somebody local from here, I know some doctors might rotate through, or maybe they're just here for a short time. But I think that you're a local, that you're from here. I just think that gives you a lot of credibility, Blake.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, coming back, I can use those experiences living here to really connect with people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think it's awesome, man. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So can you give me just a few preventative habits? You talked about prevention. What are just like 3 healthy habits that you would recommend to your patients?
Yeah.
Now, this is not medical advice,
No,
but what you might live in, Blake.
Oh, I have so many. I had to pick 3. So, yeah, I think, like I said, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. I think, let's just say exercise, right? I'm a big proponent of something every day, right? It doesn't have to be the perfect workout routine. It doesn't have to be some amazing diet or some amazing meal plan that people are following. Something small every day that adds up, right? It's doing something more than you did yesterday. Really looking at cardiovascular health and metabolic health, and, making those right choices, right? Let's go out and go for a walk. Let's take the family, take the dog, get out and enjoy the sunshine, or just go for a walk, do something. I think, getting the body moving would be my first piece of advice.
That's good.
Is keep the body moving, get the body moving if you can. And there are some who can't. They have limitations. Their neighborhood may not be safe. They may have some disability. They have other things. And even then, though, there's always something that we could try to do more than we did yesterday. Sometimes it looks like a little different for everybody, but that would be the first thing I would say. The second thing is to, try to keep a whole body mental approach to your health, mental wellness approach to your health. I think it's important that we recognize that there's a lot of conditions that cause, depression, anxiety, and all these things. I think it's important to start talking with somebody about that. I'm a big proponent of everybody having somebody that they talk to about these things, either it be a therapist or a religious figure or someone that they can trust. It's important that every human has somebody to talk to about mental health. That is an objective approach, right? When I'm recommending this to patients, I always tell them, we have therapists, we have counselors, but it's really just anybody you trust. So maintaining a, healthy mental state is important as well, because again, that's going to lead to long-term effects, both good and sometimes negative, right?
Sure.
And then finally, I would say the last piece of advice I would say is to surround yourself with people that support you. We know from a population standpoint that those without support systems tend to kind of fall through the cracks, especially in the healthcare system. And a kind of side note on that one is to be your own best advocate. I think it's important for patients to be their own advocate. I think a lot of times people feel that they can't speak up about how they're feeling or what they think is going on in their care. And so the next piece of health advice I would say is, be an advocate for yourself. The more you speak up for yourself, the better care that you can get.
Wow. That's really great. Really great advice. Be active, have a good support system, and
be an advocate.
Be an advocate for yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Your own best. Yeah. Your own voice, really. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that's great, and maybe we can touch on the more into the kids club since you mentioned being active, and I know you're coaching Little League now, Blake, right?
Yep.
And actually, fun fact: Blake and I were on a River to River running team together. I think we need to get that plugged in here too. That was a fun experience, and actually, I think you gave a feature quote in one of our earlier podcasts, recapping that. So that was fun. So thanks for doing that, Blake. So why is, especially in kids, why is it important to be healthy or an active lifestyle to get them moving? And I guess any age, why is that important?
Yeah, it builds the foundation, right? Sleep and physical activity are the foundation for pretty much all of health. And so early on, getting kids moving, instilling in them a mindset of health and wellness, again, whatever that looks like, but just being well and having a healthy lifestyle is very important. And so, these community outreach programs, either be Little League baseball, like we talked about, or even just adult running, River to River, this kid running series that we're thinking about trying to start, all these things are so important, not only for the community, but also just for those individuals, just to kind of help build up that next generation of getting them thinking about this, at least.
That's awesome. I think it's a great outreach. And I hope we can do some more of that stuff, hopefully together, man. That'd be fun. Are there any misconceptions that you think people have about health or about just health in general or health in Southern Illinois?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions is, that it has to be hard, right? That medicine, has this kind of thing that it's hard to attain or reach and get to talk to doctors. I think that's a big misconception. I think there's a lot of providers out there that just want to talk with people, right, and help them out. Sometimes it's hard to find those, but again, there are some of those out there that really want to help out. Another misconception is going to be the world now of TikTok and Instagram and AI and all this stuff. At the end of the day, these platforms are great tools, especially TikTok and Instagram and social media to reach millions and millions of people. However, sometimes that information may not be the most accurate. So it's having, again, a trusted family physician in your corner to say like, hey, I saw this thing on TikTok. What do you think about this thing, right? So I think it's great to have that. And so a misconception would be you can't ask your doctor about social media things because if they've seen it, I've probably seen it as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one, Blake, I think, as well. It goes back to trust, I would imagine. Yeah. You see things online that you just don't know, just some random person, and then they get trending, and then all of a sudden all these people are taking something, and it might not be so good for them. And right. I just recently had somebody I work with, they asked me, it's like, what do you think about ivermectin? I'm like, why are you asking me that? Like, what do I know about ivermectin? She's like, oh, it's online, I saw it online, Right. I'm like, well, I'll ask Blake and I'll stick to the doctor says. Okay. But no, there is a lot of misinformation. So I think my point is just having somebody you can trust about these things that is going to be your advocate for, it's a two-way street. It sounds like that's how you're approaching this, not just here it is. Mm-hmm. I think that is a really important point to make for, the trust factor.
Absolutely.
Especially online.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there's a lot of info that's not good, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's great, Blake. Any other misconceptions at all, or anything you want to mention there?
I don't know. There's a lot out there, right? Sure. And so, again, I think keeping it simple, letting people meeting people where they're at, mm-hmm. and really just, offering them the chance to ask the questions is really important.
For sure.
Yep.
That's great. And so say somebody, anybody can come and see you at this point. Like, it doesn't matter the age. It's just come on and see it. So, I think that's really cool. Just like the whole body approach as well, the active lifestyle. I think that's all great, Blake. How would you say somebody, you mentioned the mental factor, you're talking to somebody, that's a big one, but if somebody is maybe struggling, there's a lot of people out there that are, it's becoming common, I think, more so, maybe you're struggling with depression or anxiety or a slew of possibilities there. Is there one step you could say that maybe they should do, or what would somebody that's going through that, what would you do?
Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, talk with somebody.
Yeah.
Again, every human needs someone to talk to.
Right.
Right. We can't do this alone. We can't just white knuckle our way through these things. Right.
Right.
And so having another person in your corner is so important. Yeah. That's what I would do is reach out, reach out for help, reach out for counseling, reach out for a friend, reach out for something, someone to help you get through whatever it is they're going through. Right. Again, that can be anybody. I would encourage an objective person, right? Someone that you know or trust that would give you good advice or could help you walk through whatever they're going through.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome, man. Well, I want to shift away. Is there anything else you want to mention from a health philosophy or any approach that you think we've missed, or anything you want to mention with that?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, we could always dive into other things, but
maybe that's another podcast for the future dates. But coming back, being a part of the community, it's a big step, man. I'm really happy you guys are here and just what you're going to be doing in Southern Illinois. I want to look forward a little bit, looking ahead. So currently, we've covered, where you're at, how people can find you, how they can have you be their doctor for them. What are your hopes for Southern Illinois looking forward when it comes to health, wellness over the next few years, and in your role as you see in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for the lower 16 counties, especially here in Illinois, if you look at the numbers, right, diabetes and high blood pressure and all these other, conditions, right? My goal is to make just a little bit of a notch in the right direction to help those, right? However that looks, I don't know. The metrics on this is hard to measure. It's looking forward saying, okay, I'm going to do my best to help the community I'm in so that maybe the people I help can then help others, or at least advocate to those people to go get help as well. Right. So again, I don't have a metric in mind.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. There was a quote that said, you can be a millionaire one of two ways. You can have $1 million or touch the lives of 1 million people. Right. So if I can touch the lives of 1 million people, or at least have 1 million encounters one day, that would be a success in my book.
That's awesome.
But again, we'll just wait and see. I'm excited to see where the future goes and what I can do to help.
That's awesome, man. I think you will, man. I think that you'll hit that impact. I think you'll have a great impact here. And, there's, just moving that needle, just
Right.
slightly.
That's right.
I mean, so it's an awesome, noble path like that you're on. Are there any other, you mentioned the running club, are there any other things or initiatives or partnerships that you want to be a part of, or anything you can tease at the moment?
Nothing I can really tease. Okay. We've thrown out the idea together about maybe starting some podcast about general health, or
that'd be cool.
Things like that. So we'll see. We'll see what the future goes or holds. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. Let's just one step at a time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think there are some plans in the works to get some community outreach programs going. From both personal with the running thing.
Yeah.
With rural health, there's a lot of community outreach as well. So
Great.
I want to be a part of that.
Totally.
Going forward, they do a lot, especially in the spring and fall with health fairs, things like that. So be a part of that would be really fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So where can people follow or get, say there is an upcoming event, where can they look to find information? Yeah,
so from Rural Health Inc., there's a Facebook page that is usually updated for those events, things that are going on. And then, of course, if anything else pops up, that could be on personal social media as well. I can share it with you and you can post it as well.
Cool, man.
Yep.
Yeah, and any message to those who are hesitant to see a primary care doctor?
Get in and see one. I know it's tough. Sometimes health can be scary. Sometimes it can just be one of those things you put on the back burner, but it's so important to have somebody in the corner when things happen, right? It's better to have me and not need me than, need me and not have a physician to help you walk through whatever may happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. I think a lot of people need to hear that out there for sure. So I think, Blake, it's been a great conversation. I love getting to hear your story through how you med school, into how you're coming back now to Southern Illinois, and just like you read that book with the mountain, in Haiti.
Yeah.
And how that person was helping those people that didn't have that access to the care or the quality that you mentioned. And there's a parallel there with your story, right? Coming back to Southern Illinois, where there's still that discrepancy in care and accessibility for that. So I think that's awesome, man.
Yeah, appreciate that.
To hear that whole story, and just to see where it'll go too. So the story's still being written, obviously. So Blake, is there what have we missed, man? Is there anything any stories that stick out during medical school, or any research labs? You mentioned Yuri. I don't know, Blake, is there anything you want to mention? The open mic right now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I mean, I could spend hours talking about all the cool things and people I've got to know over the years, but I just say congrats to you, man.
Thanks,
Union Street Arts, the Union Street podcast. It's awesome. I think you're doing great stuff in the community as well here.
Oh, thanks, Blake.
So I'm excited to see where your future goes to. So I appreciate you having me onto the podcast.
It's exciting. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see where this goes as we continue, to grow together and, growing, our family. We've seen it grown from, we grew up across the pond from Heather, you know, and gosh, our whole lives, you know, just kind of have unfolded right before our eyes. I can't believe we're all here now.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing all these big things. It's like, wow, here we are. But no, it's awesome, Blake. I'm excited, you know, just to be a part of it too. So I want to thank you, for coming on and just, you know, what you're doing in Southern Illinois. And definitely want to have you back on for a check-in once, you know, a little down the road, or when we do that running club or River to River next year. You never know, man. Just keep moving. But Blake, if there was one tip on how to live a healthier today, what would you say?
Stay positive. Yeah. Keep with it. Keep going. You know, keep a healthy mindset, and then do something more than you did yesterday. Whatever that looks like, just do that one thing more than yesterday. And that's progress.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great advice, Blake. Appreciate you, man, coming on.
Appreciate it.
Blake, one more time, where can people find you? How should I even say this? Where can people find you? How do they become your patient? Is that?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that the right? So Blake, where can people find you? How can people become your patient?
Yeah, Rural Health Inc., Goreville, and then eventually Vienna. They can call 618-995-1002 or call any other Rural Health location. Let them know that you're needing to see a doctor. You can recommend my name or just anybody. I'd like to see anybody as a patient, but again, that's a personal choice. So I think they can reach out to Rural Health Inc. and get established with me or somebody else.
That's awesome. Okay, so guys, go do that. If you're looking for a doctor, somebody you can trust, this guy's a great guy. And I'm going to have to give him a call myself. How about that, Blake?
All right.
So you'll be seeing me soon, hopefully. I need to get in. I need to do it. I need to take the advice. The doctor is in. I need to take the advice. All right, Blake. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
It's been a treat. Thank you.
So, guys, be sure to follow Blake. Follow Rural Health. Give him a call if you're looking for a doctor. Subscribe to the Union Street Podcast. And also, just stay positive. Like, I think that was a great message to end on. Stay positive and just do a little bit more than you did yesterday, and that's progress. That's a great quote there, Blake. So, all right, you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks.